Welcome to another episode of the Dadger. Today we have Mason Stokke, a two-time high school wrestling champ, former Badger and Panther fullback, and now a real estate agent and recently fiance. Mason, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you. Happy to be here.
So we'll start kind of at the beginning from Menominee, Wisconsin. Tell us a little bit about your upbringings. Like, were you a farm kid, lake kid, sports kid, like right out the jump?
Yep. Well, my dad was a FIA teacher and coach, so big sports kid. I had a older brother that was 4 years older than me. I played all sports: football, basketball, wrestling, baseball. Growing up, just kind of everything. And brother set a really good example for me. He was 4 years older than me. Um, Always trying to compete with him. Um, he ended up playing football at Minnesota State
Yep.
Mankato, so a pretty good athlete as well. But yeah, I ended up then going into three sports, so football, wrestling, and baseball, and then just the two in high school, just
Okay.
football and wrestling. But yeah, having my dad as a coach, um, pretty much just always involved in sports growing up, and um,
Yeah. So Joe LaBuda, prior to being your football coach, was actually your little league baseball coach. So he did an interview with publication called Daily American. He said he recalls you standing out for your competitiveness and athletic ability even at a young age. So you talked a little bit about it, having that older brother who was 4 years older than you. He played collegiately. Were you guys always competing with each other growing up, or where do you think that competitiveness came from at such a young age?
yeah, I think my dad and my brother both set a great example of you work hard and the results are going to follow. So that's definitely where I got that from. And then, we were never on the same team, being 4 years apart, but whether it was just in the backyard competing, messing around, throwing the football around, or in the weight room, like just always trying to catch him. And at the time, it was like such a big age gap and difference that I had no chance. But
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
kind of that younger brother mentality of always, chasing your older brother.
I feel that I have a brother that's 9 years older than me, so the age gap was a little bit more. So yeah, there's no catching him. He's over the hump, so to speak now. So I got the one up on him with lifting and stuff, but so uh, you were not only involved in sports competitively at a young age, you were also a manager on the football team where your dad was the assistant coach. Being around all the sports, did you have a favorite one growing up?
Um, Favorite sport?
Yeah.
I probably lean more towards wrestling. I probably was a little bit better of a wrestler than football player. Um, Being a manager though of the football team was awesome. Like you said, Coach Sabuda was the coach, and um, pretty hard on us as managers, but I think in a good way taught us a lot of like life lessons. Um, but we had a lot of great little mini tackle football games as little managers. Nate Stanley was one of them.
Okay. Yeah.
He was played at Iowa and
Play. Yep.
Minnesota as well, Vikings, and but yeah, I think I just put so much time into wrestling, and I loved the fact that there's no um, politics involved, and if you're truly better, it's one on one, or the person who puts more time in and outworks the other person is going to be the better wrestler, and um, that's why I just slightly um, probably like wrestling a little bit more. So
So
I
I guess, other than uh, we were talking about your dad being an assistant coach. Other than him being the assistant coach, did he coach you in anything else growing up?
yeah, youth sports. Baseball. wrestling and football, and he was an assistant wrestling coach as well in high
Okay.
school. But then he didn't coach any baseball, and I didn't do any baseball in high school.
So we'll talk a little bit about wrestling here. You're a force in wrestling in high school. You placed third at 152 pounds as a sophomore, first as a junior at 195 pounds, and then another title as a senior at 220 pounds. Might be a dumb question because I was a basketball kid, but was there specific reasons for moving up in weight class every year, or was it as simple as, between growth spurts and hitting the weight room, it was just easier to keep moving up weight classes?
Yeah, so kind of during that time period, my sophomore year, I was actually to start of the wrestling season. I was weighing close to 180. And I ended up having just a huge weight cut towards the very end of the year to get down to 152. It was one of those things where my parents had to sign a waiver to let me go under 5% body fat. And I mean, I was lean. You could see like every muscle fiber in like my leg.
Yeah.
And luckily, we did it smart where it was kind of a 4 week stretch where I was made that cut. Um, So then, literally 2 weeks after wrestling season was done, next sport is football, and I'm going to get ready for that. I mean, 2 weeks, I was back up to 185 after that, and just back down the weight quick.
Yeah.
But with that, there was a growth spurt. It was kind of weird. It was as I, started eating normal again, and then back in the weight room, it was just kind of like propelled me into like a little growth spurt there. And then even when I wrestled 195, I wasn't cutting weight at all that year. I was 190 and trying to gain weight the whole year,
Okay.
mainly for football, and mainly I didn't really need to cut weight. And then same with the year after, I was more like 200 pounds my senior year wrestling 220.
Okay.
And at that point too I was committed to Wisconsin for football, and same thing. I was trying to gain weight that whole time. Um,
Was it I had Brady Ewing on here. Was it similar to like his experience of trying to gain weight, where it's just like, you keep a log of all this stuff, and there's just days where you're like, man, I do not want to eat anymore.
oh yeah, I was one of those kids that like gaining weight was hard for me. So
Yeah.
I just always constantly counting calories as much as I can put in me, and it seemed like it was just a slow grind from the time I got to Wisconsin. Well, from the time I even was like in high school, I was
Yeah.
trying to do this, but pretty much slow grind of like 5 pounds a year, until kind of my later years in college when I finally was at kind of my peak weight where I could finally go, all right, now I just need to maintain.
Yeah.
And there, I still would be like, I miss a meal or here or there, and like I'm down 5 pounds. It's like, come on. I just want a little break here and there, but
So if we can circle back to wrestling for a second, finishing in third your sophomore year, did that light a fire under you, or I guess what was the driving factor in? I think it was a 75 match win streak you had over your final 2 years.
yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, for me, it was like um, I knew I was so close and that I could do it. And I that year leading up to my junior year, I did a ton of spring and summer wrestling, um, to kind of get to that point. And wrestling was something that early on in high school, even through my junior year of wrestling season, I was thinking I'm going to wrestle in college. That was my mindset. I want to wrestle D1. Um, I actually started getting recruited. In Wisconsin was one that stuck out to me, and just being a Wisconsin kid, I was like, this is where I want to go, and this is kind of where I was planning to go. I had a former teammate in high school that was already on the wrestling team at Wisconsin, Eric Pyzik, and seemed like a great fit. And then the football recruiting kind of picked up then, and the scholarship differences in the two sports, and kind of the after college, the professional level. It was just so different in the two sports, and that was kind of the deciding factor for me why I went the football route.
Your senior year, I assume you had already committed to the football route. Yeah, you already.
Yes, yep.
Uh,
Late in my junior year is when I committed.
I think I'm probably going to know the answer to this based on how passionately you're talking about wrestling. But you hurt your Achilles in the state quarterfinal. Um, was that did it ever cross your mind, I guess, to sit out that wrestling season? Or I guess how bad was that injury? Did it weigh on you heavily?
Yeah, I mean, so what it was is I rolled my ankle and strained my Achilles at the same time. So I was kind of recovering from two injuries. The rolled ankle came back way quicker, but the strained Achilles was what was hard to get back.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to get back. I was getting a little nervous because I think I missed about a third of the wrestling season my senior year, and I just wanted to, you know, get practicing, get my matches in, kind of shake that rust off. So yeah, I was pushing to get back, and it the Achilles is tough to kind of come back from, and
Yeah. So wrestling and football draw a lot of similarities in terms of qualities, both physically and mentally. You need that you have to possess to be successful. What do you think was the most valuable quality wrestling gave you in terms of helping you with your football career?
yeah. Um, I think the two biggest ones were, like I said earlier, with wrestling, the work you put in directly relates to your success on the mat, and just learning that mindset. Because I mean, there's so many little things in wrestling that you can do to have an edge on your opponent, and taking that into the football aspect of nutrition, sleep, film study, just all the real little things, staying disciplined with your diet, all of it to just have a little bit of an edge on your opponent. That was for sure a big one, and then just the mental toughness aspect. I mean, wrestling's a tough sport. You're usually tired from not eating. You're going to war. You're dehydrated. All of it, and it's one on one. There's no one else you can blame. Um, yeah, tremendously, and then as well as like body position, leverage, being able to know how to move someone. I mean, directly translates to football, and especially blocking, tackling, getting off blocks. It's all um, so much muscle memory, and
Yeah.
directly translates.
So shift to football a little bit. Your senior year, obviously, you were a two-way player, linebacker and running back. Were you doing that all 4 years of high school, or was that something you picked up, later on in your high school career, playing both ways?
Yeah. So my freshman year, I mean, Menominee, we have a great historical program of having a good football team. Freshman year, I mean, I was a little undersized, so I was just playing on the freshman team. Played both ways as well, linebacker, running back. Same thing my sophomore year, and then I played a little bit of varsity DB at the end of the season. And then, yes, junior year, started at linebacker and rotated a little bit at running back. It was kind of like a two-way split at running back, and then
Sure.
senior year did both. So yeah, pretty much the whole way through, I did both.
Was there something similar about playing linebacker on one side of the ball and then turning around and playing running back on the other side? Or did you like the dichotomy of being the enforcer on one side while being able to use your speed and agility on the other side of the ball?
Yeah, there's definitely there's a lot of similarities in positions on both sides of the ball. I mean, skill set and body type are very similar between the two. I my favorite position was running back. I always wanted to.
Okay.
That's what I wanted to play. Probably needed to be a little faster at the next level to be running back. Um, but yeah, a lot of similarities, and just understanding both positions kind of help one another. And yeah, yeah.
Normally, with two-way players, you can noticeably they're noticeably better at one side of the ball than the other. Your senior year, I don't know if that was actually the case. Looking at the numbers, you're both offensive and defensive MVP in the Big Rivers Conference your senior year. Were you getting recruited for both positions by different schools, or was it just? I know you went to Wisconsin for linebacker initially, but were you getting looked at for running back at other schools as well?
Yeah, I was. Schools love the versatility of possibly, seeing where I fit best. Even, some tight end looks,
Sure.
linebacker looks, some running back. Army was a school that saw me um, more as that running back role, which is very fitting because their running backs are
Yeah.
a lot of times fullback.
Yeah.
Um, So yeah, that definitely helped in my recruiting piece. I had a lot of special teams film, tight end film. Just being really versatile helps.
On a podcast you did with Moneyline Media, you talk about Iowa being your first offer and having other connections there. Like obviously we talked about Nate Stanley playing there, as well as I think you wrestled the strength coach's son.
Yes, yeah.
Uh,
So
yeah,
yeah, during my recruiting process, this was before I had any major D1 offers. Um, Nate was already committed there to Iowa, and on his recruiting visit, they just were talking me up, bringing my film to their attention, and the strength coach goes, "Wait, I know that name. I know who that is. My son wrestled them at a national tournament." Um, and I beat his son pretty bad.
what are the odds though?
Yeah, very random odds. And
So with all those things lining up, was Iowa initially the front runner, and it was just as simple as you're from Wisconsin, so that's where you're going to go if they decided to offer. Was that kind of how that decision process went, or I guess what went? Were there other deciding factors that went into it as well?
yeah, so Iowa was the first to offer me before Wisconsin. It was actually um, on my way down to my official visit to Iowa. They called and officially offered me from Wisconsin. Um, and just going with Nate and both our dads and our after that official visit, they had great facilities. I was decided. I was like, I think I'm going to go here, but I still wanted to check Wisconsin out. And I think a week or two later, I went to Wisconsin, and something just in my gut, as a Wisconsin kid, Wisconsin fan, I could not go there, and that was just kind of the final.
During that process, did you lean on anyone to help you make those tough decisions, especially at such a pivotal point in your sports career at that point?
Yeah, my parents kind of were the main people I would kind of fall back to, um, and they kind of. My dad was a Wisconsin fan, so I think he was leaning that way in the back of his mind. But he knew too I was a great option as well, and he really left it up to me. And um, it was between those schools, and it, he was there for me, but he left it up to me to make the decision.
Sure. So you end up picking Wisconsin and were redshirted your freshman year. Having gone from playing two ways to now being redshirted, was that transition difficult for you?
Yeah, it was. Freshman year is always the hardest year. They say that, and it's very true. Um, going from the top of the food chain to the bottom, you learn really quick that you're not good enough to play right away. And so, not only going to a one-way player, focusing on linebacker, you're learning a way more complex playbook. You're playing against players that are better than you. You're not quite there. It's um, very challenging, not only like physically, mentally, but that's kind of where that growth happens. You get out of your comfort zone and you realize, kind of go back to wrestling, where all right, you got to put the work in. You're not good enough. You got to do all the little things to outwork your competition and kind of get to that spot.
The 2017 season, you end up getting injured, which was Achilles or MCL?
Yeah. So I went back to back. So ended 2016, my freshman year bowl prep. I tore my ACL,
Okay.
and then it was about 6, 7 months later that summer, leading into the 2017 season, I tore my opposite leg Achilles. So I went back to back season enders. Um,
Yeah.
my yeah.
So you talk about how maybe frustrated and eager you were to get back to wrestling when you were in high school, and that was considerable less recovery time. How frustrating was, or I guess mentally tough, did you have to be to go through this? Because you're stacking on recovery time, but then you're expected to get back to right back to where you were prior to having the injury. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff that stacks up there.
Yeah, I mean, when I had that first ACL, it was the end of my freshman year. And like I said earlier, I wasn't ready to play. So I was, at that level. And then I get hurt. So it's already a setback. And then I attacked that one. I had a great recovery. I was ready for that next year to compete for most likely a special team spot and maybe like a backup role. And then bang, got hit with another one. And that one was tough. That one was a lot longer of a recovery. That took me a full year. At that point, I
Yep.
was like, I haven't played football in this long. All these other people have gotten so many more reps than me. Will I ever stay healthy? Can I ever play again? All these thoughts, are going through my head constantly. And I'm not going to lie, there were some hard days there. But then it
Yeah.
just, you kind of go back to what got you there. You just attack it each day, day by day. And eventually I finally got healthy. Spent a lot of time in the weight room, so gained some weight. Um, wasn't the small guy on the team anymore, and kind of was able to compete from there for
Was
this.
there anybody through that process that you really leaned on in college to keep you grounded, or what? Or does it go back to your parents even?
Yeah, parents definitely helped. I mean, there were some phone calls, some conversations of, um, you know, times where I was kind of breaking down. Um, but what helped is we had a great group of guys that I came in with, um, to always be there, just always being around the team. Because when you're injured, you kind of feel like you're a little bit tossed to the side, not a part of everything. And
Yeah.
but having that group of guys, we ended up, um, our whole grade got a house together. It was a 20 plus guy house right across
Oh,
from Peter
jeez.
Brandel. So just having that group of guys to lean on, everyone's kind of going through the same thing. They understand where you're at. That was big. Trainers helped a lot. Um, keep every day working together, getting back, strength staff, kind of the whole support staff, right? The
Yeah.
coaches, teammates, strength coaches, and parents. That was kind of my whole support staff.
So we'll switch to the good college years now. So going into the after the 2017 season, in that off season, you said Chris approached you about being on special teams and potentially fullback. At that point, were you just happy and willing to play anywhere as long as it meant you seeing the field, or was there a little disappointment there having to move out of a linebacker role?
Yeah. So going into that, it was fall camp. I was linebacker. I was just so excited to play football again, so ready to put the pads on. And honestly, it was some of the most fun I had just practicing football because I missed it so much. Um, I was playing free and just ready to hit somebody.
Yeah.
Um, and it was actually one of the last days of fall camp. He approached me with this idea. We had a really deep room of inside linebackers, a lot of them drafted, still playing in the
Yeah.
NFL. So really deep room. And then in the fullback room, it was, we had Alec Ingold, the obvious starter, and then there wasn't a lot of depth pieces. And during that fall camp, I had kind of carved out a role that I was going to be playing special teams. But as a linebacker, our room was, it was going to be tough for me to see the field as a linebacker.
Yeah.
And he approached the idea, and it was totally up to me if I wanted to do it or not. And I was, like you said, I was just happy to get on the field at that point. Um, I actually really loved the idea because of my running back experience and how
Yeah.
Wisconsin used the fullback. I mean, you're not just the traditional guy that's, you know, going through the A gap and blowing a hole and just
Right.
over and over. You get the ball, you're involved in the passing game. You're more of kind of an H back um,
Yep.
role. So, yeah, I was really just happy to get on the football field, and I actually thought it was a great move for me.
In your interview with the Camp podcast, you described being a fullback as being selfless, versatile, able to put your body on the line, and really a jack of all trades. How do you think Wisconsin used to be so good at finding players to perfectly fit this role? From anywhere from Matt Bernstein to Alec Ingold to yourself. Like, it just seemed like they had guy after guy after guy that they just plugged in there, and it was like perfect.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I guess when I was there, I felt like Coach Christ was so good at being able to see, all right, this guy, he might not be, quite there at this position, but let's try him here. I see him; he could be really good there. And there's so many guys, whether they go from, let's just say, outside linebacker to tight end, or vice versa, or
Yeah.
tight end to O line, or um, DB to receiver. There were so many guys that made that move. He kind of saw it, and it just was such a good move. I mean,
Yeah.
probably one of the bigger ones, TJ Watt, right? Tight
Yeah.
end.
Yep.
All right, move him to outside linebacker and, see where he is now. But otherwise, I would say, that fullback role, what our program was built on in that tradition is underrated kids,
Yep.
the 2-star, the 3-star. They're hungry, they're hardworking, and they're tough. And if they don't fit a certain role, I mean, that fullback position is, you kind of got to be all those things. And
Yep.
I think that's where you kind of always found that Wisconsin fullback.
So I guess since I brought him up here, I've had Bernie and Brady both on here. I've asked them the same question. You're going to be the tiebreaker, so to speak, for now. Wisconsin is regarded to many people as running back U. With the likes of all three of you, you also have Cecil Martin, Alec Ingold, Derek Watt, to name drop a few others. With all that success at fullback since the '90s, do you think it should be renamed Fullback U?
Oh yeah, yes. I think we definitely got that title. I think we can have both, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we definitely got that title.
So, uh, fullback U, it's going to be renamed for right now. But moving from linebacker to fullback, did you have to change anything in terms of what your diet looked like, or how you were working out in the off season to make that transition?
Yeah, I was probably when I made that transition floating around 230. And at the time, my running backs coach John Settle, he wanted me around 240, and
Okay.
rightfully so. Right? I mean, when you're blocking linebackers that are 240, 250, and you're 230, it's not really a great matchup.
Right.
So that was, that was my first year of transition, and from linebacker to fullback, and just that extra weight helps you be able to move people a little bit more, um, and and that was great having that ability to back up Alec that first year, learn from him, learn the position, play on special teams, develop my craft, and put on some more weight.
The first game, how did it feel finally padding up and getting on the field, having fully overcome everything, the injuries, the position changes, the doubts? Was there a moment where you stopped to really take it in, having gone through all of that and come out the other side?
Yeah, for sure. It was a kickoff night game, so it was great atmosphere. Um, it was one of the first or second kickoffs, and getting on that field, the crowd, all of it. I was one, just so excited to be there, so grateful and thankful. I'm back. I'm healthy. Um,
Yep.
it really was a feeling. It's undescribable in the moment, and just pure joy.
Yeah. Between your first touchdown in 2019, an Orange Bowl touchdown that year as well, or you rattled two off against Michigan in 2020, or maybe the Duke Mayo Bowl 14-yard touchdown grab. Do you have a favorite college touchdown?
Um, I mean, it's probably got to be the Rose Bowl one. I mean, that's probably, yeah, it's got to be my favorite one, even though the game didn't turn out um, the way we wanted. But that one was pretty special.
Yeah,
Just having grown up and my dad,
yeah.
knowing the significance of the Rose Bowl, and yeah, that one was pretty special.
You talk in the camp podcast about the uncertainty of not knowing if you're going to get to play, not having access to facilities in 2020. Um, you started the season on a roll with 3 touchdowns on just 7 touches the first 2 games. How are you able to stay mentally locked in to start that season with so many variables constantly changing?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. Yeah, man, just a weird time.
Yeah.
I think what kind of helped keep you locked in is leading up to even the season starting. So just come from spring break, and that's when COVID kind of started happening, and everything shut down. And well, you got to figure out your training. You got to figure out how you stay ready. And then even the summer was a challenge, from nutrition to training. And now all of a sudden, instead of having all the resources in the world, you're completely on your own. So I think that kind of helped figuring that out before the season even started, and then we have camp, and then okay, the season's not happening. All right, it's back on.
Yeah.
We'll play 2 games now. All right, we're not playing 2 games. Yeah, it was challenging, but just having that experience prior definitely helped.
With such a hot start to that season, and then I think you guys came off 2 weeks. Once Minnesota had to cancel, and then I think the next week Wisconsin had to cancel. Do you think that really hindered your stats of the 2020 season?
I mean, probably, yeah. I would have loved to have a normal year with 12 games. Um, are definitely heavily involved in that offense that year as
Yep.
far as being more of a playmaker. Like I said, it was kind of more of an H-back role, kind of like a tight end, fullback hybrid
Yep.
role in that offense. So, yeah, I definitely think it hindered the stats.
You declared for the draft after the 2020 season as you were one of the top fullbacks in college at the time. How did you go about finding an agent to represent you?
Yeah, it was kind of the people that reached out to me. Um,
Okay.
just kind of feeling out them, asking my coach, running backs coach, Coach Set at the time, um, Coach Chris as well, some of the players as well. And what ended up kind of leading to my agent was um, Austin Ramish. That was his
Okay.
agent.
Yep.
So knowing him, another former fullback, talking with him, he's John Kuhn's agent. Um, felt like I um, kind of could trust those guys, their judgment, and then
Yeah.
went that direction.
Being such a highly touted fullback that year, can you pinpoint a reason you ended up being an undrafted free agent, whether it's teams not using a fullback in the NFL or the COVID year kind of messing things up, or maybe, something completely different that most people don't even know about?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I think the biggest thing is the fullback position in the NFL today. Um, there's I think when I was coming out, roughly half the teams had them, but really it was like around 10 or 12 were actually using them. Um, so it was hard, right? And I think just the position itself, you're either going to be a real late round pick or an undrafted guy. And
Yeah.
that's just kind of the nature of the position, unfortunately.
So you did get undrafted free agent to the Panthers, um, but ultimately ended up getting cut. So there are 2 years there where after you get cut, you're training, you begin being a performance coach for the next couple of years, until it seems like until you tried to find your path in football with the USFL for a year. Did those 2 years bring up some of the similar feelings and emotions as the first 2 years in college when you were injured and couldn't play?
Yeah, exactly. Very similar thoughts. I would say probably then even it was more challenging because there was a lot of unknowns, a lot of stuff
Mm-hmm.
out of my control. Um, yeah, it was the same thing. Will I ever play football again? Will I ever get another opportunity? And then each day, at that point, you're almost like, am I wasting my time? Why am I
Yeah.
doing this? But you just keep attacking it day by day and just hope you get an opportunity. And it's the same thing, same mental challenge, physical challenge. Um, but then you kind of start getting into, all right, I got to support myself financially now.
Yep.
Got to work at the same time you're training and
Yep.
still stay mentally and physically disciplined. Um, Very challenging. Probably out of all of it, that was the most challenging time period.
Yeah. You end up playing in the USFL with you actually played with quite a bit of Badgers from what I saw of your guys' roster, but you guys end up winning a championship. Did you feel like that's a good way to close a chapter of your life in terms of playing football, or was that a difficult decision for you?
Yeah, I was once again just so happy for the opportunity and so happy playing football again. And um, I ended up transitioning to tight end that year. Had a great year. Had a
Yep.
blast just playing again. I played on all special teams. Um, Started as a tight end, and uh, I just it brought me back to almost college again. I was with five other
Yeah.
Wisconsin Badgers. We had an Airbnb together, and just had a blast playing again, and had a really good year. And my agent was really confident I was going to get another opportunity in the NFL that fall camp, and unfortunately, teams still viewed me as a fullback, which in that year training camp there was no fullbacks getting tryouts or cuts. Um,
Sure.
so that was disappointing. That was hard. Then kind of training, and then I was planning on going back for a second year in the USFL. I wasn't ready to be done. I wanted another opportunity, see if um, can get another chance at the
Yeah.
NFL. And then our leagues merged. The USFL and XFL merged, and our whole team got cut in the merger. Um,
Okay.
and then I didn't get another opportunity for the first year of the UFL, and then it was kind of at that point where, um, I would have to wait another year to play football, and um, at that point, I was kind of ready to move on with my life, but I was so grateful just for that year of USFL, just all those years, the 2 years of training, not knowing if I was going to get an opportunity, and then um, getting that year it did make it all worth it, and it was a great way to end it. Essentially, wanted to get a little bit more of an opportunity, but very grateful for it.
Do you have any advice now, having kind of moved on, for any for high school or college kids that are maybe struggling to find their identity outside of sports? Um, for you especially, having some perspective, being away from it for a little bit now here.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest advice would be start thinking about it um, earlier than later. Um, what you're passionate about, what you want to do after, explore different options, and then find out what you're passionate about and kind of start getting into it early and have a plan for after, because no matter who you are, it's going to end at some point later or earlier, and it's hard for everyone, no matter where you're at, how far you make it. It's a hard transition,
Yeah,
and I don't think people realize how hard it is till you're there and you got to do it.
sure.
So yeah, just start thinking about it early.
Currently, you've been working for a company in Madison called Pinnacle Real Estate Group. How did you come across real estate, and what made you choose a career in it?
Yeah, during college, I realized I just started learning about investing in real estate and loved the idea, loved everything about it. I was looking for a job that could relate somehow and could help me in more of my personal investing. Um,
Hmm.
and I kind of through the UW football connections, I got connected with Pinnacle. So the owner is a former UW fullback, Joe Armentrout.
Okay.
Um, so I got connected with him, and I was like, when I first started, it was like, all right, this makes perfect sense. It's flexible. if I do get a call for football, I can, um, you know, take that call
Yeah.
and go play. And then as far as my investing too, I know the markets, um, learning a ton, and it's perfect for that.
Having been there almost 2 years now, it's safe to say you got to enjoy what you do. Otherwise, you wouldn't have stayed there. Are there similarities you draw from your time playing competitive sports to now selling homes?
Yeah, I truly think it's same principles apply, right? The more work you put in, the better you're going to be. Um, starting out, it definitely wasn't the best, and continuing to work each day in, day out, trying to just kind of have the edge up on the competition to truly be the best. And I think those skills translate to any career or profession you um, choose.
With with how crazy the housing market has been the last couple of years, what's been the toughest thing for you as a realtor over those past couple of years?
Yeah, I would say it's great to be a seller. uh,
Yeah.
First time home buyers. I mean, just the prices and interest rates right now, what people can afford. It's your typical starter home is uh, is not cheap anymore.
Yeah.
And a lot of the cheap ones you need to renovate the whole house. So really hard being a first time home buyer, and it's it's you want to help them, and you want to almost change the market, and you want to be able to find that right home, but it's so hard in
Yeah.
such a competitive market.
So, for anybody who's interested in looking for houses, selling, buying, I'm gonna drop all of Mason's stuff in if you're watching on YouTube in the descriptions. So make sure to hit him up. But we're gonna switch gears here a little bit to end the interview. You just got engaged in May, so first off, big congratulations on that. But
Thank
I
you.
always I always like to sort of wrap these episodes with two questions, and I'll alter one of them so it pertains to your current life a little bit more. If you have children of your own someday and they come across this interview, what is one thing you hope they take away from it?
Mm, great question. I was not expecting this one.
Guy gets people every time.
uh, yeah, yeah. I think the biggest takeaway is life's not easy. It's hard. Um, Having the mental discipline and work ethic to get through those tough times. Um, I think that's the biggest takeaway. You got to be mentally tough, and you got to outwork people.
All right, last but not least, how do you think the Badgers are going to do this year?
Um, they got a tough schedule. Um,
Very
yeah,
tough.
yeah. Uh, I hope the best. It's hard to say with how hard their schedule is. I, I hope to just see improvement from last year as now a fan, an alumni. Um, yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, you got I think it's what, six teams in the top 15 or 20 that you're
Yep.
playing.
Yep.
Um, and then that's not even including like Iowa's and the Minnesotas.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't have a specific prediction.
All right. Well, Mason, I really appreciate you taking the time to hang out and share your stories. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe wherever you're listening. And drop a comment letting us know who you'd like to see next, have us on next. As always, on Wisconsin. Thanks, Mason.
Yep, no problem.